Let's talk about Stagecoach Mary. Mary Fields, otherwise known as Stagecoach Mary, was born into slavery in Tennessee. She was emancipated and found work working for Catholic nuns in a convent. That line of work brought her out here to Montana into the St. Peter's mission. I said the wrong name. There's a lot of Catholic history here in Montana. Now, she wasn't Catholic, and in fact, the whole scene is kind of comical. She carried a gun, she smoked cigars, she cussed, she would argue and fight with some of the male Catholic priests that would travel through. In fact, there's a myth or a rumor that she got into a duel with him. And you really also have to understand it from the Catholic nun's point of view. In women's history, leaving society and society's expectations of what it meant to be a woman and instead leaving and joining a convent was a form of autonomy. It was a way of saying, I reject what society wants from me as a woman, and I want to dedicate my life to God and do that instead. And that may sound different, especially to Protestants, but marital was not a thing. Women had very little choice of how many children they were going to have once they were married. They had very little choice in anything. So becoming a nun was a way for them to have autonomy. And then for Stagecoach Mary, which I'll explain the nickname in a bit, of course, she was an emancipated slave. Anywhere from back east, she was not going to have the opportunity, the respect, all the things that were kind of driven out here in the unsettled Western territories and working for this convent. And so at the time, they needed each other perfectly. It's a really beautiful story, really. Following her days at the Catholic convent, she applied to work for the Postal Service as the first African-American female stagecoach postal service carrier for the Star Route. Now you gotta understand, out here, it was a lawless place. If you were gonna be a stagecoach driver for the mail service, you had to be tough. And she was. She beat out all the other men who applied for the position. Then, following that, she opened a restaurant and unfortunately went broke after 10 months because she kept giving all the food out to people who couldn't afford it. Stagecoach Mary, or Mary Fields, is a legend, an icon. She was a real person who was larger than life. In sparsely populated Montana, you don't hear a lot of our stories. And so this month for Black History Month, I hope you've heard this one. Stagecoach Mary.